Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Heretic Hammer Podcast. I'm your host, Marshall, and this is my co-host, Dylan.
Hello, hello.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
A dinosaur story with less dinosaurs.
Oh, no.
Well, unless you count the two
2026.
of us.
Let's change that, GW. Bring the dinosaurs. Give us exodites.
Give us an asteroid.
Give us exodites. We need the exodites. Give them to us.
There's still time.
Today we're going to discuss 2025 because the best way to start off a new year is to talk about last year.
We're going to show off our Labubu collections.
Oh, God, no.
And we're going to, reminisce about all the cool trends that we were a part of in 2025. We're going to say 6-7 a lot.
No, that's...
It's gonna be
can't
shway.
say it anymore.
It's gonna be real shway.
We're hitting the meme reset. We can't. Now it's got
hitting the meme reset already. It's time.
That's what everyone's going at. It's the meme reset.
Okay.
So we're gonna open this episode with the sick MLG montage.
Of course,
because that's what we're resetting to. By the way, apparently that's the reset point.
My hope will never die.
According to the internet, that's the reset point, which is funny because I'm like, wow, that's a list of memes that come before that we're just ignoring. Probably best, but still, because especially starting at MLG compilations is just after Rage comics. So it's
got that it's very much got that Silver Age comic books being the thing that people fondly remember, and then the Golden Age is there, but people don't talk about it nearly as much as they do the Silver Age. Sure,
but we're seemingly gonna not go back to the Rage comics. So, but they will be, their presence is in there because Troll Face is all over MLG montages.
Yes.
But anyway, for Warhammer 40K, however,
yeah, sorry. How does this segue again?
That just became a tangent because of the meme thing. I would say 40K when it comes to tabletop and lore in 25. I would say it generally was kind of hit or miss. Mostly hits on the tabletop and models side, more misses on the lore side, right? Last year we had, the infamous new Terminus decree, which we have not talked about, which apparently I neglected to talk about in the Grey Knights episode. But I'm kind of glad I didn't now, because what I would have said would have been irrelevant, and what is relevant sucks. So,
there you go. Happy accidents.
There's a little bit more to it, but I will let you know, just so in case you ever see it in the future. The new Terminus decree is essentially there was instructions that the Terminus decree always had been instructions left by the Emperor for the Grey Knights, right? Because the blueprint for the Grey Knights left by Malkador was known to the Emperor. It wasn't a secret. The new Terminus decree is essentially that if the Emperor were to wake up and rise from the Golden Throne, the Grey Knights must put him back in it.
Interesting.
Yeah. It sucks because obviously it completely defies the purpose of the custodians. The custodians would 100% help him up, bring him to life, and just deal with the Golden Throne. But the decree was set in case was obviously meant to be some type of failsafe so that the Astronomicon doesn't die. But honestly, at this point, half the Imperium can't warp travel anyway. So what's the point? If he rises, just let him do it.
Yeah.
And he'd probably fix it in a month.
It's also really weird because I, as the resident novice of Warhammer 40K. By the way, if we haven't mentioned that already, for any first-time listeners this year, this is a podcast where Marshall, who is much more experienced in the world of Warhammer 40K, has been introducing me to a lot of the lore and the history, as well as the mechanics of the game itself, the models, just everything that has to do with Warhammer 40K.
Mhm.
And my assumption, if I'm being honest with you, from everything that we've done so far, is that the Emperor realistically is never going to wake up. Like that's just never going to happen. We're never going to see that, both in a meta thinking about it as a product made by Games Workshop thing, but then also thinking about it as like a mark, like totally bought into the story, invested in the story itself. Like it just, to me, it's never felt like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to see a point in the future where the Emperor is going to be walking amongst us again. Like it just feels like this intrinsic fact that he has to remain in the state that he's in order for the world of Warhammer 40K to just like keep doing what it's doing.
Yeah, the only way what would happen if the Emperor rose from his seat would essentially be the equivalent.
We'd pog, that's for sure.
It would have to be the equivalent. It'd have to be like the equivalent of like a Warhammer End Times, right? Like
yeah, totally.
In order to get from Warhammer Fantasy to Age of Sigmar, they literally had to blow up Warhammer Fantasy, and the Emperor doing that, like various things that have been discussed about what the Emperor has been up to and stuff like that. If he were to re-rise, it would be on a cataclysmic level of like similar sort, Mm-hmm. And so like the big thing about that is because he's a perpetual, and the only reason he didn't straight up wither away like Malkador did, which we'll talk about that this year, is because essentially that the Emperor was better at bulking.
Better at bulking.
Yeah, like Malkador's bulk game wasn't really there. He's pretty frail physically, even though he was a perpetual. So he should be able to just like live and survive through whatever. But he didn't. He withered away after sitting on the golden throne. So, but the Emperor didn't. So his soul wasn't obliterated either, because like Malkador was a perpetual. He should have came back, but he hasn't. So clearly there's something about the golden throne that's pretty weird. We need to know more about that to know what would happen to the Emperor, and that's the whole thing. Yeah. But that wasn't the only lore thing that happened in 25, but it was probably one of the worst.
Okay.
However, for video games in Warhammer 40K, last year was pretty good. All things considered, it wasn't a lot of like crazy new things, but they were like, last year was a really awesome refining of the games that were out. Honestly, I think like there were technically two releases, and both were
there were
forms of
definitely some
remasters.
surprises for 2025.
Yeah, and the two things that were actually released,
anticipating we're going to be releasing, that then came out.
Yeah.
I will say, it's hard to imagine beating something like Space Marine 2 from 2024, just because of like how fantastic that game turned out to be. But yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of go over 2025's games here and see if they ended up measuring up.
Yeah, and then we will also then talk about, they won't be necessarily games that come out in 26, but the things that were announced to be coming out in the near future. But yeah, everything, there were really only like, as far as I could see, 2 actual releases this year, and we'll kind of talk about those 2 last. But with Space Marine 2, I actually want to talk about that first, because 2024 saw the release of Space Marine 2, and that was in September. 2025, if you played Space Marine 2 now and versus how you played it in September, it is a markedly different game. It is so much more of a game than it was when it launched. So like this game got so many updates, it's insane. And like not just like literal updates and bugs, like quality updates. So like this year started with a few like new missions and the Neo Volkai pistol, and then some extra quality of life stuff. Then horde mode, and with extra PvP stuff. So then we got the power axe, my beloved, and extra things with like the hammer. Like the hammer was able to be used by the Vanguard. Fuck is the shield guy.
Mm-hmm.
But you drop the shield. And then we got Hellbrute Onslaught to add to PvP, which is pretty fun. I like playing that. It's a fun time. It's a little like, it's a little momentum heavy, but I've had games go back and forth on that. And then we got more customization for Chaos, with more of that coming. And then coming shortly at the beginning of this year, we're going to be getting the Tech Marine. So like, and the the other thing I totally forgot to write down on here was the release of stratagems. So, and obviously more PvE like missions. So, and the stratagems are like added more customizable, like they added more customizable stuff to like just to play for. But like the stratagems are like the missions with just like different types of modifiers. Like you have one less shield or two, or you only have the one shield. Like they're just challenge runs essentially. But they're normal challenge runs, and then there's hard challenge runs. So it's like varying levels of difficulty, but still a challenge in each of those like levels. It's crazy interesting. And it's just like this game was not a game I pegged for like being like, yeah, this is going to be a games as a service game. But like it does it in a way that like actually works. Like,
yeah,
because like
definitely.
all of these updates were free. The only thing that you pay for, you can pay for in this game is to get extra, like the extra like super special armors. But like some of the other super special armors you get through, the stratagems, like the currency you unlock from stratagems. So there's already then, like if you like you could get, you can buy the Blood Angels Champions pack, so you can, get the super good Blood Angels-y armor, or you can get a super cool helmet just from the stratagems. Like it's because like who cares if you don't give a shit about the Blood Angels, then it doesn't matter. Like I didn't really want anything from the Black Templars kit, so I don't have it. But like that's it. That's all you pay for. Everything else is free. All the actual like gaming updates are all free updates.
Mm-hmm.
And this game just got like it is such a different game compared to where it was. Where like, once you get through the campaign, it's just like, damn, I got a whole new game after my game. Sick.
They put a second Captain Toad treasure tracker in here?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you played Space Marine 2?
It is okay. So for me, it has been a while. I want to say back in September there, I jumped back on and was playing around with it for a bit more. The majority of the time I was playing it was when it originally released and with the original campaign, where I like sat down and just like ran through that entirely from beginning to end. And then it's one of those things, yeah, where I just kind of like every once in a while I would jump back in, do some of the additional stuff that they had released, and then, not touch it again for another couple months. And I honestly like that. I really appreciate that about certain games like this. With a lot of live service stuff that is like constantly providing updates and constantly putting out new content, even when it's free content. A lot of live service games really push the FOMO aspect, the thing of like, hey, we're going to have all these really cool events and, raids, and
but it'll only be out for 2 days.
Releases, but it's only for a set amount of time, and you got to be there for that time. Otherwise it's gone and you can't get it, or you got to wait until, further down the line when we decide to re-release it again. But we're not going to tell you when that happens. Just that, we're not doing it right now. And I really appreciate games like Space Marine 2, where it's like, yeah, we're going to keep releasing out a bunch of content, but it's not time-locked content. It's going to be there waiting for you whenever it is you decide that you want to come back and play the game again. Because I'm a busy guy, okay? I got a lot going on, I'm working a full-time job. I got to dedicate time to my Gundams, I got important things I'm taking care of. So it's nice being able to just hop back into the game at my own pace and still have a lot of fun stuff there for me to do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's just like, like the fact that it's just you come in, you can play, like you just go through a map, like do one mission, do two if it was a short one, and then just be done. Like those types of games are so invaluable for the working adult.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, like I love what Space Marine 2 has become, and it's like only gonna get better. Like I'm so excited to play the Tech Marine.
I'm curious when, I don't know if they've mentioned this, I haven't kept up, but I'm curious if they have an end date plan for their roadmap of like continuing to add content.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up with Space Marine 3.
Yeah.
But I'll wait for that when we get into the looking ahead portion. But for now, we can move over to Dark Tide. I still play Dark Tide pretty frequently, kind of for the same reason though. Now that, like you mentioned with Space Marine 2, I can just kind of hop in, play a mission, hop out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to be fair, that's also what makes Left 4 Dead so great for me personally, is being able to hop in. And obviously, there are similarities between those two.
No, exactly. And so this year with Dark Tide, kind of similarly, just got a bunch of nice updates. I mean, we got 2 new classes. We got the Arbites near, I think it was near the fall, actually. I think it wasn't super long ago, which was why I was surprised then when they announced that they're adding the Hive Scum. Like they had this like year and a half with like no extra content. Actually, more than that. This game released in 22, I think. Am I wrong? What time did Dark Tide come?
The original Dark Tide was November 30th, 2022.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, this game went nearly 3 years with no extra class, no new class. And then in a span of, I closed my notes. Within a span of like 6 months, they added 2 classes. Like, and like, not only that, but then it had some of its like best visual updates. And then like from the UI perspective, especially, it revamped the weapons upgrading and like honestly made it way more useful to like figure out your weapon stuff early levels, because it used to just be like and don't give a shit about any of your guns or melee weapons or anything until you reach level 30. Then start trying to find and get weapons and upgrade those, but don't do anything before that. And it's kind of like, all right, I guess, because like it takes a while to get to 30. Leveling in that game is not fast. So like the fact that at least like you can now have a somewhat you can actually like kind of do some of the metagaming like with the guns and stuff a little bit earlier is like a little bit nicer, because it's like, all right, at least I can do something. I can feel like I'm working towards not just 30, but like, all right, now I can, now I can upgrade my bolt gun, and then, or now I can have a more upgraded, like flamer, like just something to give me something to work at before I reach 30. Because otherwise it's just like, all right, I gained some XP, away I go. It's like, okay, I have something to do. So like, I like that, but like those and like now they also added like this like roguelite mode where like you get buffs as you you progress through like waves. It's like a mix, because they have like Mortis Trials, but like I guess Mortis Trials is only I guess it always has been just kind of a horde mode, but like it just got refined, and so it's just cool. Yes. So yeah, Darktide is honestly kept up really well. I believe you had it.
So I have not yet dipped my toes into the Darktide. I have not yet. I don't know. I'm out of water metaphors. I haven't played Darktide yet, but It is definitely something I am looking at for this year. Something that I want to approach, especially since quick shout out, it's not related to Warhammer 40k specifically, but for a brief period of time last year, Vermintide 2 was made free to claim on Steam. So I picked that baby up, and I am planning to play that as well. So I definitely want to do kind of like a Vermintide 2, Double Tide, Dark Tide, Double Bubble Fun, and compare the two of them and see how they relate.
Yeah, I mean, Vermintide 2 has obviously had a lot of time to cook. So like it's
because that was 2018, I think.
I think even a little earlier than that.
Let's see how good my like insane video game memory is.
Oh, it was 2018.
Yes, that's a point for Dylan on the board.
Man, when did Age of Sigmar release?
30 years ago. You're old.
No, unfortunately not. That was luckily when Warhammer Fantasy was. That's when Warhammer Fantasy was just about. Well, a little more than that. It was because that was the 80s, but 2015 was the first AOS. Okay, because I was gonna say I thought End Times was way earlier than that, and I know Vermintide 2, it kind of has a lot of like End Times stuff in it. So that's where I was like,
Gotcha.
But okay, makes more sense now. But yeah, no, I mean I think the comparison's a little more apt now, but it definitely was not the case with 4 years ago. And then Rogue Trader got new DLC again. So, which I mean, honestly, just continues to push the game forward, because each DLC in some regards seems to just improve on the game as they come out. That's kind of the thing though about Owlcat games, is they kind of start in this semi, you can kind of get through the game, but it's not really perfect. And then they come out with things like the DLCs, and then it's all right, now they're here. But from like a realistic standpoint, you know, like those games still are like, if you play the original game, it still kind of is like it's not like the expansions feel like a requirement. So it's not like the worst thing where like, all right, in order to have any semblance of, you know, like finishedness of the plot, you need to get these 2 DLC. It's just kind of like the short stories that were told in the 2 DLCs were generally just, the thing was, it's kind of, they kind of outshined the plot of the main game, but because they take place during the main game, they're not required by any means to deal with the main game.
Yeah.
So they're like still extras, but they kind of just shine over the main game. So that's why they're good, because they're really good stories. But it's not like you're missing anything. So that's still a win. Because we like expansions and DLCs that like are not the only way to understand the story or to understand the whole game, you know. Or like, you can't beat the game without doing this DLC now. Like, that sucks. This isn't that. Totally. All right, so we're gonna get a small stinker from a video game release as it goes this year, though it's somewhat dependent, and we'll kind of get into this discussion here a little bit. So they released Space Marine 1 Master Crafted, right? And this was meant to be essentially a way to play Space Marine 1 on more modern hardware, right? And
yes, especially since the original came out in like this one, let me see, this was PS3 360 era.
Yeah, I think it was 2012.
I was gonna say 2010, 2011, because I think I was still in high school.
Yeah, it might be 2011. There we go.
Okay, no, so yeah, I was just starting the cool egg. Okay.
The cool egg.
But yes, multiple generations ago that game released, so this was very much meant to be a port of it to modern platforms.
Yes, which seems to create a dividing line. And the number one thing seemed to be because the issue was that we were looking at essentially a PC report that cost $60, right? Because at first I was kind of confused because I played a tiny amount of Master Crafted, but I downloaded it through Game Pass. So when I saw online that everyone was clowning on the game, I was like, I don't understand. It kind of is just what it says on the tin. And my thought was like, we were running into a scenario, you know, where like, oh, what game was it? I thought we were running into like a SpongeBob Battle for the Bikini Bottom remaster issue.
Oh,
like
the rehydrated, yeah.
Where like the main reason IGN shit on it so much was because they didn't change the game at all. And that was kind of partly because of like post Final Fantasy VII remake syndrome, where like, oh, we got this super cool like remake where they're flipping the game, like they're completely remaking the game ground up. It's a different game, just the plot's essentially the same, but like they've made some differences. And for some reason they were expecting that of a SpongeBob game, you know.
That predates all of that. That type of thing has been around forever because of the lines of what is considered a remake and what is considered a remaster. Because different companies, you know, they decide when they're putting the product out. They're like, you know, whether or not we're going to call this the remaster or the remake or rehydrated or rebirth, but I think whatever.
It was just that scenario where like, I think whenever a remake came out for a short period after that first episode of the Final Fantasy VII remake came out, just like if anything said remake, remaster, whatever, or if anything was just not a direct port, essentially, that like it would be effectively compared to the quality level of a remake that Final Fantasy VII was, which I agree was, I would totally note, like, I never believed was a fair thing to do, because that's not an apt thing. Like, companies just don't do that.
Yeah,
People
everything
don't
looks
want
better
that.
than remake.
I mean, people don't want that. Like, like a full blown remake is just not on a bunch of companies' radars. But making them potable for modern hardware or prettying them up a bit is just a way easier thing to do. And people are willing to pay for that because of sometimes the astronomical price that an original version of a game can be. I mean, look at the fact that like Path of Radiance costs like $200 right now. But like now you can just play it on Switch Online. And like I know people have their gripes about that, but it's like, look, you could get you know, you're usually going to pay for Switch Online if you play online anyway, like I do, where like cuz I play online on the Switch frequently. So why not get some extra games on top of that instead of paying $200 for a GameCube game, which I still own, actually, my copy
All of
Path
this
Radiance
to say,
in the box.
And that's never let that go until you are paying for your child's college education.
Exactly.
All of this to say, when is Nintendo going to release Space Marine on the... No. All of this to say, with doing a sort of remake or a remaster of Space Marine, because would you agree, having played, I think you and I have both played the original Space Marine within like this past couple years, right? We've both had hands-on experience with it. It is a surprisingly solid game still. All these years later, I was pretty impressed with it when I came away with it, but it did need some fixing. I felt I was definitely not like protesting the idea of it having some sort of a port or a remaster that would make it a little more playable, because it is rough. It's got some rough edges to it.
Yeah, I don't see, the thing is, I think most people didn't disagree with that concept either. I think the thing that ended up just being the big thorn in the side was the fact that it was full price. And I agree with. I think a remaster, especially in the vein that Mastercrafted got, where it was like everything in it is basically identical to the original game, but it just has better key binding controls, has better graphics controls, has better, like, it has all the fine tuning things to optimize it better for modern PCs that most games should have and do have. But to me, that's not $60. You know, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily, I do kind of agree. Like, I don't think a $60 game for creature comforts, like that's not an upgrade enough for me either.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the original, you can still get the original version of Space Marine on Steam. And I think as of this recording of this podcast, double checking here, it's like around $40 is its main listed price. It's actually on sale at the moment, but
it is frequently on sale. Yeah. At least it was.
You know, just going off of that base price of $39 compared to $60, I think it's one of those, like, I brought it up as being something that I appreciated. It was getting an upgrade, and that, like I said, it's definitely showing its age. It had some issues that needed to be resolved.
Oh, no,
I
it's
would
$40.
agree that they're not the improvement, and I don't know. It's rough saying this because I immediately think about the work that went into it, but I understand that, like, those improvements aren't necessarily worth the extra 20. I think if you are somebody who's listening to this who hasn't played Space Marine before, and you're like, I really want to try it, but also I really don't, I just don't have the means to spend the full $60. You're not, like, screwing yourself by paying less and getting the original version of the game.
So I don't
like
know.
I would say that it runs well enough that you're not actively putting yourself in a box by choosing to play that instead.
No, it's kind of just like try to play with a controller if you're playing the old one. However,
Yes.
I did notice. I don't know if this was changed from like posts I saw, and like I thought I looked up the price as well when I was checking releases and everything. But on Steam Store, it does say the Mastercrafted version is $40.
So it's possible that they've reduced the price since then.
Maybe, yeah, because I thought I saw posts saying it was $60, but maybe it was just wrong, or maybe it's something else. Because $40 is a little bit more. I do look at that maybe as a little bit more approachable. Right? Like, I mean, I can't tell you, like, obviously I can't tell you what like your $40 is worth, but I'm like, I don't know, for especially somebody who hasn't played the game before, has whatever, it's just kind of like, if you want to play it on Steam Deck, this is your only way, stuff like that. It's kind of like, shout out to this recent Steam review.
That's
by
not
the
even
way.
necessarily true. I played the original version on Steam Deck. That
really?
was the way I played it, and it ran fine.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was one of those where it's not like verified.
No, I was definitely ready for it to like have issues. I was like prepared for it to.
Yeah, giving that Space Marine 2 does.
Yeah.
Fucking, you can't play Space Marine 2 on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
It's so annoyed by that.
I was expecting that, and I was pleasantly surprised by how well it did run.
Yeah.
Playing it on there.
But shout out to the Steam review, by the way.
It's not. If you are somebody who, again, is interested in Space Marine and is like, I really want to jump into it, but I also don't want to pay too hefty of a price. It sounds like A, that price might not be as hefty as it was, and B, you're not. It's not a bad choice to go with that original port. I think you'd still be doing pretty okay.
No, I think exactly. I do, like I was saying, shout out to the Steam review. It's a shameless cash grab, but I could tell you it's got upgrades, upgraded lighting and effects with a bare minimum texture upscale, but it runs good on Steam Deck, blah, blah, blah. Like that's where it then goes into Steam Deck. And that you can play multiplayer nicely. So recommended.
That's a big thing too.
But my favorite thing here is it's a shameless cash grab. Product received for free.
I mean, you can still recognize that. That's, hey man, that's every journalist that receives codes, every film critic, everybody who does screenings. You can still recognize when something's a cash grab.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a cash grab, but like also like I'm not against a game that is being updated. I granted, like, realistically, could you maybe have just put this as a patch to the original Space Marine? Probably. The only reason I question maybe not is because Relic isn't around anymore. Like,
yeah,
there's potentially a number of files that maybe they can't go into in like the old Steam release. Like, I don't know back end enough, right? There's maybe back end stuff that just made it easier to re-release it as a new game, but I'm willing to bet, yeah, it probably was just like, all right, look, this way we can just get $40 this way versus a different way, right?
Yeah.
So,
are there any other games with updates you wanted to talk about before we get into the stuff from 2025 proper?
Well, so that's it. Like, that's the thing. We're in that. The Space Marine 1 Mastercrafted was this year's release, along with Dawn of War Remastered.
Yes, the definitive edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. I'll come back around to something.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. That's kind of that plays into this, because now in this scenario, you're getting 4 games, Because while they were technically, yes, quote unquote expansions, they were still all standalone games, all the Dawn of War. So you still truly were getting 4 games for $30 or $20 if you had one of the original Dawn of Wars. So first, just to lay it out there first, I love having this. I love going back to Dawn of War. Going back to the original Dawn of War, though, is a fucking chore because it's a Windows XP game. It runs fine, but you always need like to not be like
That's
effectively like 2 inches off the ground. You need a mod.
The word is fine. I also went back and I'm pretty sure it was last year I did this, that I tried playing Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2 on my PC, the originals, and excuse me, it is 100% fine is the word to use. Like it's
right.
It's serviceable in how it runs, but you can clearly see how it is just like gasping for air in some ways of like trying to run on a modern system.
Yeah, and like the thing is like the new, like, yes, things have to be like shifted and changed, and you know the coding may be different or something, but like maybe, I don't know, but like they put in built-in mod support. They have a mod manager in the game. Like they clearly understood that like people who played original Dawn of War have these mods that they don't want to not play with. And the only way that you're going to get people to buy this version of the game is if you can have good mod support with the original mods. And I'm sure there was a growing pains thing with it. I'm sure, because there always is. But like, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, for $20 to $30, man, like you get to just really go back to like Warhammer 40K in 2004, you know, like, so like, you know, it still looks and plays the same as it did, just way nicer, way more efficiently, you know, like it's not like you're going to get with this, you were getting like, you know, like Dawn of War, but like updated to current, you know, current lore standards. Like the Raptors still have their like super doofy long helmets, you know, and we still have Necron pariahs. Like you'll notice we didn't talk about a Necron pariah in our Necrons episode. That's because they don't exist anymore. Because it's because like they got rid of the idea that a human would join the Necrons, give up their physical body, and become the only speaking Necrons out there. Now the Necrons just talk.
Yeah.
Because that was the only way they had a voice. Necrons literally had no voice prior. Right? They were, the original lore was essentially that they were the mindless drones led by and ordered around by the Catan. Where now it's become the opposite. Now the Necrons defeated the Catan, betrayed them after they betrayed them, and now are leading the way and have their own thoughts, you know, desires, and, you know, can speak. So pariahs just don't have a place and therefore don't exist. But they're here in this game, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that update was not crazy long ago. I think it was like 2012 or something like that. Which, like, for a game that released in like 1989,
the original
pretty
Dawn of War?
No, the Necron change.
The Necron change. Oh,
yeah, the update to the Necrons lore. It was like 5th or 6th edition, I think. So it was, from like Warhammer standards, it was pretty late. No, this is like this lore is like 2004 shit. Like
mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I mean, like, you know, this kind of leads to the question, like, so like, you know, when is a remaster good, right? And this, because this game looks and plays like it did in 2004. Space Marine 1 looks and plays like it did in 2011. You know, but like in this case, it's definitely half the price of, of the like a full price game. It's technically even $10 to $20 less than Space Marine 1 Mastercraft it is. So like obviously like there's a huge value proposition there. Feels like you're getting some bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I guess like it all depends on what your line for like is this what makes this remaster worth it to me.
I
Like, 'cause
feel
for me personally, it's always
Yeah,
just
go
as
ahead.
long as the game looks and runs like it did.
uh,
If it's just like a straight up like essentially like modernization port, and I know that's what it is,
hmm
because getting bait and switch is a whole different conversation.
Yeah. With this one, I definitely feel more comfortable suggesting for first time players that you just go with this remastered version.
Oh yeah.
I think having all the expansions be included in as part of the package, having a more unified game, I feel like that's pretty valuable. And it's definitely, this is one that has shown, the original version is like showing its age and its compatibility like a lot worse than Space Marine is in my experience. So
yeah, I mean even versus like Dawn of War 2, like yeah, Dawn of War 2 still has the problem of like
Dawn of War
not
2 is even
having
still kind of rough, yeah.
yeah, but it only is mostly in the sense that it's that it mostly is only in the sense that it just doesn't have a proper like full screen to like borderless windowed kind of optimization, because it was a game designed when the idea of having two monitors was just insane. You know, like people just
Right.
didn't do that unless you were in an office. Gamers didn't have two monitors. But like it was but like kind of. And I only say that kind of because Windows Vista days was kind of the period in which people were starting to, or gamers were starting to do that more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I think that becomes a big difference because it's like, well, now it does seem a little bit more like maybe this should have been thought about a little more. Because yeah, I mean, like Windows Vista time, that was like, like, hey, PC gaming starting to become more of a prominent thing now. But that's the main place that Dawn of War 2 doesn't really feel good. Because then when you're in the game, I would say everything feels pretty nice. Like
Yeah.
the game doesn't like lag. It doesn't have, you can up-res it and it still looks good. You're not like 2 feet off the ground like you are in the original Dawn of War. Like everything is very like workable still in Dawn of War 2, which is why I was like, I'm cool that I would like to see it maybe get another remaster as well. But like I was kind of like, all right, I'm cool that we leave it there for now. It can Dawn of War 2 can come another time. But yeah, that was pretty much all I saw that was 40K games that released in 20 that actually released, like things for 40K games that released last year.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you there.
Oh, okay. What did I forget?
This is where I cut in and I say, hold on,
Okay.
you're forgetting some very important excuse me, entries.
Yeah.
First of all, I haven't touched this yet. And I think you have. So we gotta mention Warhammer 40K Speed Freaks, developed by Wired Productions.
Was that this year?
That was
No.
2025.
Maybe like its technical release? I think it's like, because it's like oh yeah, okay. I think it had a full launch. So here's the funny part about that. I want to talk momentarily. The reason I'm confused, I kind of forgot about that or was semi confused because this game has been out in early access for a while. But the thing is also, it was free. So like,
right. It's not free any longer.
Right. But I can still play it. And I haven't paid a dime.
Yeah.
So like, when I launch the game right now, what's going to happen?
Oh, like, is it going to update and be like, you need to buy a license? I honestly don't know.
But this says it released in May, and I played this kind of recently.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I was just like, I know for a fact that you owned it. I was pretty sure you had played it. I was like, we got to bring it up in some capacity here if we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess
games.
I forgot about it because I played it in like when it first kind of went public. So I guess that's why it confused me for a bit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's Speed Freaks is another one of those games. It's just like, you know, Dark Tide or Space Marine 2, where you can just go in, play with some boys,
playing with the boys,
and then you know, just have a good time.
It's more so it's like a combat racer, a little more akin to like a Twisted Metal game than like a traditional kart racer or anything like that.
So I could just play the game. So
sick.
I guess they've apparently done kind of a cool thing, which was like if you were in early, you get the benefit of
if you're part of that early access period, you just get it.
Because I could have swore I didn't purchase anything.
Yeah,
I really didn't believe that I did that. But
well, that's like, so I have it in my library as well. I have yet to play it, but like I also have it in my library, and so I imagine it's probably the same thing for me because I think I added it quite a while ago.
Yeah, well, so according to this, you added it just after Christmas, but
did I? Was it just after Christmas?
According to Steam.
What am I thinking of then? Am I thinking of Dawn of War again?
Maybe.
It would not surprise me if I was just thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, Speed Freaks is like,
yes.
It is.
Yeah.
In
December.
Speed Freaks is still incredibly fun. Like it is. You know, like it just is one of those games where it's like, it's not about any frills. I mean, and it's $20 even if you do buy it now, which honestly just like,
which I apparently did and then forgot that I did.
If you're just really into like the no frills kind of just silly orky experience where, you know, nothing is like super crazy and it's just kind of like, you know, it's just like you want to have just like a silly fun time with the boys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And boys is in the orcs, not the people you play with. Okay, so Google said something about being 22, but the original like launch thing was May of 23.
Okay.
Because
all right, gotcha.
I know because like Bricky played it about when it became like publicly available to play, and that first video was May of 23.
Okay.
And they played
Instead,
it one more
do you
time
want to talk
a year
about
later.
Something that definitely for sure came out in 2025?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I won't spend long on this, but this is one that I actually did play and put hands on. So I gotta shout it out. If you have listened to previous episodes of this podcast, you know that I am a big fan of Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. which is getting a sequel, by the way. We'll probably talk about that when we're discussing future games.
Mm-hmm.
But what it also got this year was a special entry in the franchise, and that is Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun Words of Vengeance.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I was going to bring that up as a joke, and I
this
totally forgot
is-
to write it.
This
Shit.
is Bolt Gun, but a la Typing of the Dead, where
That's
it's a typing
right.
game. And this thing rules. It is almost like, I would say it is almost as fun as core Bolt Gun itself. Obviously, if you are not somebody who loves doing typing games or, you know, Typing of the Dead, things like that, you might have less of a fun time with it. It might be a little rougher experience. But man, I was having a blast. It is very well integrated. The words that they choose for you are very fun. It really is just a great time.
No, I totally forgot about that. I was gonna make a whole write with it and everything.
Mhm.
Oh, I totally forgot, and I just messed up. Damn it, I forgot about it.
Definitely the silent star for me of Warhammer 40k content that I was consuming in 2025.
Oh man, yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that. I mean, just what a goofy game to release, dude. Just so funny.
So good, because I'm trying to remember if it was a shadow drop. If it wasn't a shadow drop, it was like nearly
It was
a
kind
shadow
of, yeah,
drop.
no, it was kind of just like, here you go.
Yep.
They did show, like, they said it was releasing, but it was one of those like, it's out now. Like,
Yep. So now
they're like, hey, here, we made this game. You can play it now. And all right, see you later. Here's on a
and also it is free, by
remaster.
the way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's perfectly how it should be. I mean, just like a goofy gaff of a game. Great for content creators. Honestly, just a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Was there anything else I forgot about?
I genuinely think that's it for 2025. I think we've now covered.
Yeah, because with Speed Freaks,
2025.
they added a bunch of the customization stuff. I haven't touched any of that, so I can't speak to it. I don't know if it's made the game any better, but I did get to play with the Def Copta once, and that was really fun. The Def Copta is awesome.
Nice.
So, you know, it could be worth $20. Sure. Let's look ahead though, because there was some big games announced.
2026. Let's go.
So I don't know how many of them actually have release dates. Let me check one quick.
I'm seeing 4.
Well, it's like 2020. The thing is, a lot of times you'll see like 2026 and beyond.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
The list I'm looking at, it's got them as 2026, and then there's a few others that are it's listed as TBA.
what list are you looking at?
Oh, I'm just on good old Wikipedia, my guy. Here.
Okay.
I'll just send this right over to you. Boop.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll look at that quick because see if this will glean me any extra info.
There is a notable exception. There is a game that is like straight up missing from this list that I was like, wait a minute, didn't that get announced? And it did, but it's not on here for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we'll kind of go in somewhat of of that release order a little bit. So the one that is expected to be this year, but doesn't have an actual date is Mechanicus 2.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty pumped for. I still haven't finished Mechanicus 1 because I'm terrible with games like that. However,
the turn-based tactical type games.
Holy shit, the soundtrack of that game is insane. Like, damn.
That's another 2018 game, the original Mechanicus.
Mm-hmm. And I'd have no reason to expect, though, that this second soundtrack will not be as good. and you get to play as Necrons in this
yeah.
game.
Yeah, I bet it's going to be
So
fantastic.
this game is already goated because you get to be a Necron overlord. So it's already goated, you know, like I have become like, look, you can look at me on this podcast and you can see potentially even between the both of us, right? I'm pretty Xenos pilled when it comes to Warhammer 40K.
Okay.
Like sisters are still my main army, but goddamn do I love the Xenos. Like their lore is always so interesting to me because like every now and then the whole Imperial system kind of just gets watered down to just like it's bad because it's bad. Like, and we're staying bad because so I always feel like Xenos are like sometimes they're a little more interesting because it's like, why do we still suck? Because we keep getting our shit kicked in. That's why. So, but out of the two factions, I love both Necrons and Mechanicus and their relationship as like antagonists to each other is like so good. And I can't wait to see it kind of from both sides in this game.
Sure.
So like I'm very pumped.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good one. I would like to know when it's going to release. I truly would. There is a demo out. I don't know if it's still out, but there was a demo out, I guess, at some point. Here, I can check that quick. But like definitely top contender for like for a like pick up this game for the love of God next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me see here quick. Jesus. The fucking trailer started immediately and it was the loudest trailer in the history of mankind.
Always.
It was so insane. The demo does not appear available on Steam anymore.
Okay.
But we do know it's at least spring, so it'll be early next year, which is kind of why it's where it is. But next up, speaking of Bolt Gun 2.
Bolt Gun 2.
Let's go, sister. Let's go.
Sisters. I am so excited for this, dude. This is absolutely of all, like, there are a lot of exciting announcements for, new Warhammer games. It should surprise nobody that this is the one I am most looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like
stoked.
Here's the thing, like I love Warhammer's lore, right? And like it's why we have this podcast, because I just wanted to yap at somebody about it. I wanted to share all the ridiculous things about it. But there's a key phrase in that. The ridiculous things about it. I think people forget like Warhammer in general, 40K, fantasy, like the original fantasy. A big thing about it for the longest time is that in some regards, it was kind of like watching Airplane. Everything that you as the viewer are watching looks extremely ridiculous and stupid. But everyone in that thing, right? Like, Leslie Nielsen in that movie plays it straight the whole time. Right? Like, you do not hear his character. He doesn't like spike the camera and go, "Hey, don't call me Shirley." Cue laugh track. Like he just says, "That's right. And don't call me Shirley." Anyway, like it just goes. Like, and that's 40K, right? And that was original Warhammer Fantasy as well. It was like, here's this stupid scenario where it's like and the big armored marine mans, like men trudge down the planet as they face mountains of artillery, but unexpectedly this warp portal opens and engulfs the battlefield. Now they're on planet Yggdraba. Like,
Mhm.
I like the middle ground that lore has come to in somewhat recent times, but there's been a lot of like almost letting the silly but taking it seriously just be serious and taking it serious. And Bolt Gun as a whole is like the epitome to me of like what makes Warhammer good. This is, like
Okay, yeah.
it's so silly. The idea, the concept that a single Stern Guard veteran of the Ultramarines is gonna fucking like 1v6 like 6 different like chaos demon princes. Like these greater demons, he's just 1v1 a Lord of Change and a great unclean one, and it doesn't immediately just shit his pants. And granted, there is a character that I have read in a book who did in fact 1v1 a greater demon, and that was Ephrael Stern, right? And what is Ephrael Stern? Oh, the psychic sister of battle. Granted, she's like empowered by like the soul of 1,000 of her sisters. But what do we have in Bolt Gun 2? The sister. I just like that it's just like, look, I can put down the serious brooding lore for a moment and just fucking be a sister or a space marine and just fucking plow. Just mow down enemies with such amazing fun that like to me there is just nothing that Bolt Gun does that like I'm just like, fuck that game. Like, you're not following lore from the book like. It's just that it's such a game that's just like, hey man, remember when this hobby was fun? And
That's the magic of boomer shooters, Marshall.
I know.
That's what gets you hooked on them, is that they go, listen, you can play these in a way that they're like super high level, high skill. You're flying through the level. You don't have to start that way. All you got to do is have nostalgia for games like Quake and System Shock from back in the old days, and admit that you're in your 30s and thinking about your childhood. That's all you got to do. And then once you admit that to yourself, you can just play to your heart's content.
Yeah, but like really what Bolt Gun does specifically is it makes me reminiscent of Hero Hammer,
Oh, okay.
And that's what I love about it, is that your main characters, no matter what, are just the epitome of Hero Hammer. Here's my special guy, or in this case, guy or girl, who can 1v1 a demon prince. Why? Because he's him and she's her. And that's just what I love about that. I love about the first one. It's what I love about, I will love about the second one. And honestly, all they have to do to make it a better game is just either, just like, don't make it where halfway through the game, you've seen every enemy, right? Like, it's not like it has to do anything big. It's just got to do tiny tweaks of just pacing, and it'll be the best game of all time. All right. Well, the next, apparently, like, again, don't have a date, is Dawn of War 4. Weird how they skipped 3, but we'll just move past
Dawn of 4.
Yeah, we'll just move past that part. I'm incredibly nervous. I'm incredibly nervous about this game.
Yeah.
Mostly due
there's
to
a lot to live up to with this game, right? Like it's
a lot to live down.
Yeah, for sure.
Putting the meme aside for a minute, like Dawn of War 3 was incredibly so, because I don't actually talk about it too much because we always meme about it, but the thing is, like, Dawn of War 3, I don't personally believe had a bad concept, right? Like, I think the idea of some of the things it wanted, some of the things where it made it like very hero hammery, some of the things that made it like very like some of the things that made it very, just kind of like a little MOBA like a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were there were good ideas in there, but the problem was the execution just didn't work, and the campaign was not very good or interesting, and it just was like a very kind of tough time to do that stuff. So, I'm really hopeful with Dawn of War 4, and I mean, I kind of really like that it almost kind of looks like this mixture almost. It has like this feeling almost like this little bit of mixture between being like Total War and the original Dawn of War, which again, it's that scenario of like, that could be good or could be bad.
Yeah.
Like the way the units kind of are splayed on your map, the way that they kind of seem to, they move in formation, like the game itself when you're looking at the board still looks straight up just Dawn of War RTS, right? But like the UI has like the build menu kind of looks right, but like the unit list is like laid out just like Total War is. It kind of looks like you can kind of like they have like more specific, like it kind of looks like you can almost see like normal assault marines, but not like jump pack ones. Like you can have assault intercessors and then standard intercessors.
Yeah.
So it's like there's clearly this like unit type thing, and that's kind of the part that's a little more Total War-y. So it's interesting. I think it could work really good. It's just like one of those things where it's like, I'm okay. Let's see how this goes.
Trepidation.
Yeah. But I don't know. You weren't burned by Dawn of War 3. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
100%. I skipped right over it.
So like, what are your thoughts on Dawn of War 4?
For me, it's like I definitely don't have any of the baggage associated with 3. So it's more so just a case of like, as we mentioned earlier, we were talking about Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2, having released it quite a while ago. Pretty rough to try to play them now on current PCs. Even then, I still, especially Dawn of War 2, I was really enjoying the actual core game itself. I think for me, I'm not coming into it with a lot of like expectations or requirements. I just kind of need it to be a fun, enjoyable tactics game in the way that Dawn of War 2 in particular was for me.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is like trying to match the energy to me as much of 2 as possible. Because I always felt like the middle ground, I originally used to think like that I wanted kind of a middle ground between 1 and 2. But I kind of always ended up appreciating the unit size difference that 2 gave.
Yeah.
And it felt a little closer feeling to like the tabletop game. But maybe 4 could have pushed on that a little more. Like make it even more correct,
Yeah, I get you.
I do like seeing the fact that I actually do find it really cool though that the lion and like the dark angels are like in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Especially because like the thing that interests me about this as well is, unlike Dawn of War 1, 2, and 3, where those games were created with no concept or idea that they were ever going to be canon. They were actually specifically created to not be canon. And the devs could just do whatever they wanted, right? Because it was going to be not canon. That was the case for years. And then GW decided, no, we're going to bring them into the fold. And so we're going to make all the games canon.
Mm-hmm.
And that presented with, we did some shit in that these games. What? So what do we do? And so now that this will be a game with the canon in mind, I'm curious how the story will be. Because with the line being there, it's just like, all right. So we're gonna have some like truly canon blood ravens hanging out with some dark angels. One of which is seemingly a chapter that many would have potentially theorized as being forefathers to the blood ravens. Like, so it'll be interesting if something's like brought into that, or if they like fully reveal that, who knows? We could learn things.
The capacity to learn.
It's there. All right. And then finally for 26, I'm kind of excited for this, but I'm not ultimately super crazy about this type of game. But Warhammer Survivors.
Yes.
I don't really play Vampire Survivors or any of the games like it.
Bullet Heavens, whatever term you want to use for those. I
was gonna say I'll be interested.
Yeah, it looks fun. Harmless. All things considered. Obviously, it's not going to be like a huge, important, significant thing. I'm sure in terms of like lore or anything, but no, I do. There's quite a few Vampire Survivors likes that I have enjoyed over the past couple years, and I'm definitely interested to see. This one is being made, as if I understand correctly, using the actual engine, the same engine that the creator of Vampire Survivors was using for their game. It really feels like with like the marketing and everything that they're really. It almost feels less like somebody trying to make a Vampire Survivors like, and almost more like an actual part of the series, if that makes sense. Like, I can't remember if the creator of Vampire Survivors is like working on this in any way, but it definitely feels more like a direct spin-off as opposed to just a game that is inspired by that type of game.
Yeah, I mean, this game is being made by Auric Digital, who also are the actual developers of Boltgun and 2.
Yeah.
So hard to say if like, I don't know if the original Vampire Survivors dev like joined the team in any capacity, but I mean, this is just Auric Digital doing the game and just kind of on their own. Like, because like, for example, like the original Boltgun, like that was produced by Focus Entertainment, which is actually kind of funny that then Boltgun 2 is being produced, well, technically by Big Fan Games, but essentially Devolver.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, because I guess Focus is just focusing on producing Space Marine 3 for GW. I don't know what the case is with that, but regardless,
the flow of publishers is long and convoluted.
Oh, I mean, with GW games, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, looking at this list, this like Wikipedia list of all the games, it's insane. The shift and moving.
A lot of names.
Yeah, there's a lot of names.
A lot of companies. But it's looking like a really, if not like a super groundbreaking title, then just like a fun little thing that we can look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. Now they have they have this does show Warhammer Supremacy, which is kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. I was moderately interested to see though, like just looking at the trailer, I was kind of like, that could be interesting, but it's a mobile game, so like, what the fuck is it actually going to look like? And it kind of does just seem from a little bit of like the early like the Jesus Christ, I have to show you a picture of something as well. Anyway, yeah, like it just seems like it's just a top down, like, here's some territory. It's essentially just like territory manager, the mobile game. So like,
Sure.
I guess some people are into that, like, because like, I mean, these games like that keep getting played by people, so clearly someone's into it. It's not me.
Even if
It's not me,
us. Yep.
but so that's kind of a pick it as you go. I mean, it's gonna be a mobile game, so it's gonna probably be free with microtransactions. Is what it is. But more importantly, after that will be 40K Dark Heresy, the not like a sequel, but essentially the other TTRPG turned CRPG from Owlcat. And because if you didn't know, Dark Heresy, much like Rogue Trader, was a tabletop role-playing game. It actually they used the same system, which is kind of why it's so easy for Owlcat to transport what they did to just essentially take Rogue Trader and give it an Inquisition skin, and then make new characters and just essentially make a new story, but use the same engine because the whole game is the same. So before anybody's like, this plays the same as Rogue Trader, it's just the same game, that's because they are the same game. It's actually the thing I appreciate the most about Rogue Trader is how it is. If I ever wanted to go to somebody and be like, hey, I want to play Warhammer tabletop, have you played Rogue Trader, the video game? If they say yes, I can be like, cool, you essentially know how to play the game. You just have to learn what the dice mean.
Yeah.
But like, if you've played it, especially at any difficulty above normal, you've played the game. It's about the same difficulty. There's actually specifically a difficulty in Rogue Trader that is the difficulty level that the tabletop runs at, which is really cool. It's also slightly harder than normal because Rogue Trader is not a game that's meant to be fair to the players because it's 40K. The universe of 40K is meant to kick you in the ass, unlike D&D where it's you kick the universe's ass. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm like, because Dark Heresy, I think, is one of those cool ones because it's a little bit, I'll be curious to see how much it lets you get away a little bit more with being a little heretical, because because like being a rogue inquisitor is obviously way more prominent than one would think.
Yeah.
But then also like it's a little easier to mask or just kind of like tell your subordinates to just follow with you anyway because you're the inquisitor. Where like with Rogue Trader, kind of in a way, like, like you can do bad shit and then, Aveline would just kind of be like, all right, I'm gonna kill you. Like, so I'll be curious to see that dichotomy in Dark Heresy.
All right. And then I believe we've got 2 more games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I didn't have this originally, but I think it's going to be the shortest, so I'm going to start with it first. So Space Marine 3 will be coming out probably, if I had to guess, maybe sometime late 27. That's gonna be my guess, right?
Okay. I would agree. I'm gonna call June 2027.
I think it'll be September again. I think they're gonna
Okay.
keep it kind of similar launch cycle. But essentially I feel like Space Marine 3 is kind of like Space Marine 2, the reglazening. My only worry with this game is that it's going to be kind of that scenario of like, we're going to have all this crazy good content for Space Marine 2. And then they're going to release Space Marine 3, and it'll be like potentially in a similar content level as Space Marine 2 was at launch. So it's just going to be that scenario of like, all right, cool. I played the campaign. I'm going to go back to Space Marine 2 though, where all the content is. I'll come back in about 6 months. It's kind of my worry about it.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I would want, the problem is, and this is Saber's problem, is that game has to come out with as much content as Space Marine 2 ends with. And this is the problem, doing too good a job. But maybe they will. Maybe they will launch the game with that much content. Because like Space Marine 2, honestly, in all honesty, was kind of an experiment in some regard. Like I don't mean that like literally, but like it was kind of like, hey, we know people have kind of really gravitated to Space Marine. This team really wants to make Space Marine 2, so we let them. So they're not working, obviously, with anything else that the game had. So we're just going to kind of reset it. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, Titus is a lieutenant now, all that. Much like how this was a new beginning for Titus, is kind of new beginning for the game. We're just going to kind of go through. I think now, though, that like Saber has had everything that they have had, they've begun learning and dealing with everything that they have in Space Marine 2. I really hope and can at least have some semblance of confidence that it's like, they're like, all right, we're going to launch Space Marine 3. Essentially, we're probably where Space Marine 2 is now. And like, that's our good launch point because it's a complete game. No one will really question things. And like, we can really, we have more trust now. So maybe we can play more things now. Hopefully don't break that trust, but that's my hope for the game.
And if that doesn't work, we can also fall back on the most recent announcement, I would say.
Yes. So I wasn't sure if you just gonna have anything to add to Space Marine 3 Hope. But yes.
I'm just looking forward to it.
No, let's go into it. I'm so fucking excited.
I was not ready for this at all.
This was one of those things.
Predicted it. It felt like one of those things that was like always memed about, but was like,
yeah, exactly. It was the look, like everyone says it's coming. Like there's always a leak of a rumor that they're working on it. It's always something, you know, it's like, yeah, we all knew it was coming, but it's like, but we didn't know. And here it is. Total War Warhammer 40K is real and it's coming out. And looking at the trailer, you know, like the planet to planet system for a world map is like really cool. And like, I really hope we can see like these like cool, like naval aspects, you know, just like, even if it's kind of simple where it's just like, you know, this top down, cause like, there's like naval stuff in Total War, right? So like to see that translate to space would be pretty cool. And I mean, look, yes, it's gonna launch with, you know, the 4 like those like four, factions, right? Like, let me double check. So, what was it launching with? Yeah, it'll have orcs, uh, Imperial Guard, Space Marines, of course, and Aldari. That's what we've seen. That's kind of what we know, which makes sense. It usually, I mean, the first Total War Warhammer launched with four factions. That's kind of just how it goes, right?
Sure.
But like, I would say decently solid. The lack of chaos, honestly, for both Dawn of War 4 and Total War, kind of surprising.
Very interesting.
It somewhat lives in the realm, which was kind of funny to me, which was kind of that like GW still seems to have this weird thing against chaos, but then constantly only ever pits Space Marines against other Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines. So like they're always, I feel like they're always in this weird middle ground. But regardless, I'm glad that we're getting good Xenos representation. Seeing just like even in the artwork, like the artwork, the like cover art to me, just like this goes pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like
that
the like just like the Space Marine up there, like potentially going after either the guardsman, because he's like looking at the guardsman, but then also could be going for that orc. And then we've got the swooping hawk, or I think it's just an autarch, like a winged autarch.
Yeah.
And then just War Boss just up there by himself with the double the double saw blade chain axe.
Super cool.
There's a couple orcs behind him, but still like, yeah, it's just like I think this game is just gonna have like so much hype around it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, but like, whether it starts, it's one of those games, like, right? This is like an Owlcat game where it's like, this game may not start strong, right? This may be a game.
Yeah.
I will say this now. This is, while I am super hyped for it, and I will be hyped for it, I probably will play it near launch, right? Unless I see that the game is literally broken. Like, I will probably play this game at launch. Kind of like Total War Warhammer 3 was a little bit, though that was a bit of a mixed, I guess, depending on experience. But yeah, the unless it is a complete shit show, like I'll play it. But like for most people, I'd probably say, all right, hey, look, don't buy it now, but in like 3 months, when this game gets its first major update and probably faction, like then it's time, like, because as long as the core gameplay is good, like this is a game that could be an all-timer, and like, because they're from like the devlogs, like they're making this game very differently to other Total Wars. So like, while I do kind of want to play Total War Warhammer 3 to practice, I kind of wonder how much of that will be somewhat true. And like, is it maybe not worth practicing too hard? I mean, just, yeah, like this is going to be like super interesting as we just learn more about it.
Yeah, I think this is, for me, this is like right in there with Space Marine 3, where it is such a like wait and see. It's an established developer, it's an established publisher, but it's such a wait and see thing as far as what it's going to look like on launch. And then a whole different conversation, most likely, for what it ends up looking like after the first 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like, because that
totally excited for it.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, because that is the thing, right? CA does have the reality of, like, it does not. It has the reality of kind of having the track record for being like, all right, like, this is launching a little rough. Warhammer 2 actually was pretty good, but like that launched actually pretty good. But just kind of like, all right, well, let's see. But then, like, if a couple months come down, they're like, all right, we fixed everything. So this is a game to potentially sit on, but like it will be. I feel like there will be a point where it will be worth it. The trailer just looks too good, like
It's also really interesting to think about how Creative Assembly, obviously, like, they're a fairly big team. They work on a bunch of different stuff. Total War is, at this point, is definitely one of their flagship franchises, but they work on a bunch of different things. Creative Assembly at one point was working on a game called Hyenas. That I can't recall if it was like an extraction shooter or just like more so just like a multiplayer team shooter type thing. But it got outright canceled in like 2023. And I'm very curious. It's one of those things that we may never hear about it, but I'm very curious if that affects or affected the development of Warhammer 40K. If like that played into even the decision for them to start working on Total War Warhammer 40K, as like we had this other game in the pipeline. It's been canceled by Sega. It's not going to happen now. We need something that we know people are going to be invested in, that we know people have been asking for. Let's finally pull the trigger on, putting Warhammer 40K in the Total War franchise.
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of game was it that you said?
Hyenas was the name of it.
But do you know what kind of game it was supposed to be?
I know that it was going to be an FPS. My memory was that it was going to be something like an extraction shooter, but I don't.
Damn, just before the extraction shooter boom.
Yeah, it was either that or a team shooter, but it was around that time period when, Sony obviously had like their really big initiative where they were going to all of their developers and having them develop these like much larger multiplayer focused games and team-based shooter games and things like that. And this was supposed to be one of them, and then it was canceled in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say in that regard. I mean, this has been floating around for years, so it's like, who knows what the true like impetus was to begin working on it. But I mean, like, it just at least looks, like, I don't know, just like the relationship between like this like how in the trailer it kind of almost like immediately goes from like space to land combat, how just like, honestly, like, looking at the game, it doesn't look the same as like Total War Warhammer 3. Like, clearly there's plenty of formations, but like the orcs are very clear. The orcs and space marines are very clearly like much looser, and like, I'm very curious to see like to what level that stuff kind of shifts through, and if that'll almost kind of maybe make it a little bit easier, right? Like if that'll make it kind of almost like feel like a if it'll kind of almost make it feel like a little bit more like an RTS. Because like I think a game that like fits the middle ground between like standard Total War and an RTS would be really good for like just like for like Total War, the game series, and like to get 40K people into it, right?
Yeah.
Because like weirdly, I have apparently like there's been a like I've seen a lot of things where of like, you know, like people kind of like think that like, oh, it's Total War Warhammer, so like how are you gonna like people were like, how are you like it's gotta have like rank and file stuff, so like how are you gonna like how can you have, you know, like your melee infantry and your ranged infantry mixed, everything has to be ranged, and it's like, brother, do you not know 40K works? There's melee units all the time. What do you mean? Like the question would maybe be the guard, sure, but there are units out there. They exist. Like hell, guard literally has cavalry. Like like they have the Attilan Rough Riders. I mean, like Space Marines have their bikes. Like orcs have their bikes. Like there's so much shit. Like what do you mean? So like I don't know, but like what I do feel is that there's the credence to kind of hit this middle ground where it'd be like a really easy transition for players to who are used to like RTS and a little bit, I don't want to say dumber, but like a little bit of the less complex like war game thing, or like, you know what I mean? Into a more 40K feel and just kind of lighten them into it. Or maybe it'll be extra complicated. Who knows? But it's just, it seems intriguing from the jump. And I will be interested to see longer gameplay stuff when that comes out. Otherwise.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
a lot on the horizon potentially for Warhammer games.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, like these are potentially some banger games to be coming out, especially in 2026. So like, there's a lot to look forward to, and you know, there's plenty to look forward to with the hobby as well. But you know, that's I think it's fun. I think it's good to see when the Warhammer video game sphere is doing well, because you know, I think the main gateway today for Warhammer truly is the video games, just because like not many people are really going to be stumbling onto the books, you know, and like not many people I think are going to be, you know, being like, I'm going to try this Warhammer game I see in my game store shelf all the time next to D&D, you know. I don't think it's just that's happening the same way like it used to. Like I think the video games really have to be the main focus of the gateway. So to see the games doing good and potentially being good, like I think that is incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Other than that, any other fun things for the next year you want to talk about?
I think you know, they don't have to. They're already doing so much, and I appreciate them. But I think if Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun 2 just had the typing mode built in, that'd be pretty great.
That'd be
like, I'm already
fun.
confident that game is going to be great, but that would be like a real cherry on top.
No, that would be cool. I think that'd be very cool. Otherwise, I mean, there will, similarly, like I was saying with the tabletop, one of the big things to look forward to this upcoming year is is likely going to be 11th edition. So when that starts rolling around, because that's maybe where we'll hopefully maybe see some interesting extra lore tidbits coming too. You know, we're for sure going to do some talking about it. And, you know, it'll probably be a good time to kind of like dip a little bit back into the gaming part of it a little more.
Yeah.
But we got other things, fun lore things for us though to come into this next year. It's going to be, I think, we could do a lot of fun things this year. There's going to be way more topics to go. I mean, there's still so many, like, there. I mean, God, we've still only truly scratched the surface when it comes to lore. Like, so there's plenty more to come, and this year will be filled with it, for sure. And I'm excited.
Looking forward to it.
Otherwise, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed your 2025. And if not, hopefully your 26 is better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, we're going to hope for some better lore additions to this year. And until then, we'll see you the rest of this year.
Goodbye.